The doctors gave him 6 months. His family started saying goodbye. His friends stopped making plans with him. Even he had begun to let go. 6 months. That was all he had left. Or so everyone thought. This is the true story of a man who was supposed to die, and what he chose to do instead. Built one of the most remarkable companies the world has ever seen. His name was Michael, and at 34 years old, he had everything a man could want: a successful career, a loving wife, 2 young children who thought their father was invincible. Then one afternoon, a routine checkup changed everything. The doctor's face said it before his words did. Stage 4 cancer. Aggressive, advanced. We will do everything we can, the doctor said. But his eyes said something else. Prepare yourself. Michael drove home alone that day. He didn't tell his wife immediately. He sat in his car in the driveway, waited for 45 minutes. Just sitting, watching his children play in the garden through the windshield. His daughter was chasing a butterfly. His son was trying to climb a tree, and Michael sat there, knowing that one day they would do these things without him. That night, he told his wife. She held him for a long time. Neither of them spoke. Words felt too small. The treatment began. Chemotherapy, radiation, hospital visits that blurred into each other, weeks of nausea, weeks of exhaustion, weeks of feeling like his body was no longer his own. He lost his hair, he lost weight, he lost the ability to work. But he never lost one thing. 3 months into treatment, Michael asked his doctor a question. What is the percentage chance that I survive this? The doctor paused, then said, honestly, less than 15%. Michael was quiet for a moment. Then he said, so there is a 15% chance? The doctor nodded slowly. Yes, he said, there is. Michael looked at him and said, then I am going to be in that 15%. And while I am fighting to get there, I am not going to waste a single day. The next morning, Michael asked his wife to bring him a notebook. He was too weak to sit at a desk, so he wrote in bed. For hours, he wrote down an idea he had carried for years, but never acted on. Because there was always tomorrow. Because there was always more time. Until there wasn't. The idea was simple. A platform that connected small businesses with the resources they needed to grow. Nothing revolutionary. But nobody had done it right. Michael had seen the gap for years. And now, lying in a hospital bed, with 6 months left on the clock, he decided that if he was going to fight for his life, he was also going to build something with it. He made calls from his hospital bed. He pitched his idea to old colleagues between rounds of chemotherapy. He wrote the business plan on nights when the pain kept him awake anyway. His wife thought he had lost his mind. His doctors told him to rest. Michael rested, and then went back to work. Month 4, the scans showed something unexpected. The tumor was shrinking, slowly, but shrinking. His doctor called it unusual. Michael called it the beginning. Month 6, the month he was supposed to die. Michael was still alive. Weaker than before, thinner than before, but alive and working. 1 year after his diagnosis, he was declared in remission. The room was quiet when the doctor told him. Michael didn't cheer, didn't celebrate. He just closed his eyes and thought of his daughter chasing that butterfly and his son climbing that tree. 2 years after his diagnosis, Michael launched his company. 3 years after, it had its first $1 million year. 5 years after the doctor told him he had 6 months to live, his company was valued at over $50 million and employed more than 200 people. A journalist asked him once, "Where did you find the strength? How did you keep going?" Michael thought for a long time. Then he said, "The diagnosis didn't give me strength. It gave me clarity. When you know your time is limited, the noise disappears. The excuses disappear. The fear of failure disappears. Because you realize that the only real failure is spending the time you have on things that don't matter." I was given 6 months. I decided to use every single one, and then every single one after that. Here is what Michael taught me. We all know we are going to die, but we live as if we have forever. We postpone the dream. We avoid the risk. We wait for the perfect moment, as if time is something we are owed. Michael was told his time was almost up, and that information was the most powerful gift he ever received, because it forced him to ask a question that most of us never ask until it is too late. If I only had 6 months, what would I build? You don't need a diagnosis to ask that question. You can ask it right now, today. What would you start if you knew time was running out? What would you stop waiting for? What would you finally begin? Michael was supposed to die. Instead, he built an empire, not because he was special, but because he stopped pretending he had time to waste. Subscribe. Every week, one story, one lesson, one reminder that the most dangerous words you will ever say are not, "I can't." They are, "I'll start tomorrow."